The manor seemed to breathe in, drinking her promise. I could tell we all noticed it, all at once, but instead of hightailing it, we bent our heads like this was a baptism. What's up, everybody? My name is Brad and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm back with another book review for you guys, and I'm going to be discussing Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw. I love that title. Such a cool title for a book, Nothing But Blackened Teeth. It definitely gets your gears going, makes you start thinking about what's going on. And the cover as well. I love the cover. It's creepy, it's striking. Definitely gives me vibes of The Ring, of The Grudge, those Japanese style horror movies. I really dig the cover. And honestly, the cover is the reason I wanted to read this book. I really didn't know anything else about it. So this was solely a cover read, making me want to pick it up and check it out. So whoever the cover artist was, or book jacket designer, whoever, they definitely did their job with that striking visual on the cover, making people want to pick it up. As far as the inside of the book, the contents of the book, I was really torn with my feelings about this one. On one hand, there were certain aspects of the book that I really enjoyed, I thought were really well done. And on the other hand, certain aspects I either didn't really care much for at all, or they just felt lacking, leaving me wanting more. And sometimes leaving you wanting more with a book, it's a good thing. Like, man, I love this. I wish this book was longer. I wish we could spend more time in this world with these characters. Or on the other hand, leaving me wanting more. It was unfulfilling. I was unsatisfied. It was sort of a letdown. It was like, oh, is that all? Is that everything that's going to happen? And unfortunately, that's more how I felt about this book. Was that's it? There's nothing else going on here. But I didn't really know what to rate it star-wise, because some parts, like I said, I really liked. So I was leaning between, am I going to give it 3 stars, 2 stars, somewhere in the middle, split the difference. I think I'm going to give it 2 stars. A high 2 stars, because the parts I liked, I really did like. But the parts I didn't like sort of overshadowed those, unfortunately. So let's get into what I didn't like about the book first, and then we'll try to end on a positive note and discuss the things I did enjoy about the book. Characters. I just did not get invested or really care for any of the characters in this book, and it wasn't necessarily that they were unlikable. They're kind of sort of unlikable, but that wasn't really the reason I didn't like them. I don't have to have likable characters in a book to enjoy it. It can be all unlikable characters, but I need to find or have characters in a book that I'm interested in, that I'm invested in some way, shape, or form, to be fascinated with or want to learn more about. And really, a lot of the time, I'm more invested and interested in the villains, the bad guys in books, and they are usually the unsavory, unlikable characters, but I'm invested in them because I find them interesting. That wasn't the case with this book. I wasn't really interested in any of the characters and what was going on with them or their prior backstories and whatnot. We're following sort of 5 or 6 people, 5 or 6 friends. I don't remember for sure. And I believe our main character's name is Kat. I don't really remember any of the names, but I believe her name was Kat. And they have traveled to Japan. They're in this abandoned Hana-era mansion. I'm probably mispronouncing that. But they're there for a wedding. It's a shotgun kind of wedding. It's just these friends, 5 or 6 people, and that's it. And supposedly this mansion is haunted. But they really don't seem to care that it's haunted. Like they went there specifically because they wanted to get married in a haunted building. But now that they're there, they don't really seem to be worried or care that there might be ghosts or apparitions lurking around. They're more worried about conversing and kind of arguing and bickering back and forth with each other. And all these friends, they have this emotional baggage between each other. They've either dated each other in the past, they've slept with each other, they've broken up, they've had some sort of traumatic events between one another, some of the characters. This person's now getting married to this person, but they don't know that that person actually slept with that person once upon a time. It was that kind of thing, and I just didn't care about any of it. I hate to say that, but it sort of scratches the surface. We sort of get hints and clues as to some of the past traumas with these characters, especially our main character, Kat. I believe she sort of tried to commit suicide at one point, but we don't really go into it much. It also seems like she might be able to either see or at least sense ghosts in a room or in a place. Again, it's something that's sort of hinted at, but we don't really dive into it. It's all these things that we just get these hints and bits and pieces about, but nothing is fully delved into, nothing is fully explained or whatnot, and it was just kind of lacking. I didn't care. I wanted more of the mansion itself. We'll talk about that more here in a minute, because I really dug the setting here. I wanted more of the mansion and the ghosts and the spirits that haunted this place, Then I did the characters, and the characters were just kind of happened to be in a haunted place, but it really could have been anywhere, and their story would have been the same, if that makes any sense. Another thing was the plot itself. I felt like there really was not much of a plot. We're here in this mansion to get married, and then that's kind of all that really happens. The characters explore a little bit here and there. They have these different conversations, and that's kind of everything that happens without going too much into spoilers. It just felt like it was spinning its wheels. I'm just sort of stuck in a rut with these characters that I'm not really enjoying. I don't really care too much about, and nothing really else is happening. Nothing really else is going on. It didn't feel like our characters changed that drastically that much from the beginning of the book when we're introduced to them up until the end of the book when we leave them. It was just kind of, overall, it was just kind of disappointing. I was really wanting more out of this book. I guess my expectations were too high based off the cover, based off the synopsis, being in this old Japanese style mansion, and which the backstory is really cool. I really dug the backstory, that was this bride centuries and centuries ago, and her husband never came. She was waiting for him to come. So they buried her alive within the walls in this mansion, and it sort of became a custom. I don't know if it was every year or every so many years, they would bury another bride within the walls. So this mansion is filled supposedly with these bones and these bodies and these spirits of these brides waiting for their husbands to come, just sort of sitting sad, and just atmosphere seeping into the walls and the grounds and everything about this mansion. It was such a cool location, such a cool backstory, and it just felt kind of like they floundered all that with these characters that didn't really care that they were in a haunted house even to begin with. Now that is something I really did enjoy, was the mansion itself, the atmosphere that was built up, the location of this book, this Heian era mansion. It felt like a living, breathing thing. It sort of reminded me of kind of like a modern day reimagining of Shirley Jackson's A Haunting of Hill House. And I didn't really enjoy that book too much either. I know people are going to get out their torches and pitchforks, because if you love horror, you must love that book. I kind of thought that book was boring as well. I did watch the show before I read that book, so that might have had something to do with it, because they're vastly different, but that's beside the point. I felt like this one sort of harkened to A Haunting of Hill House, because the mansion, the building itself, felt like the star of the show. It stole the show for me. I love the descriptions of the lavish architecture and the intricate paintings of these yokai on the walls. It gave this inviting yet sort of creepy and oppressive atmosphere all at the same time, with these beautiful paintings and beautiful architecture, but some of the building is rotten, some of it's ruined. So it's this nice mix of this really beautiful, inviting place mixed with this sort of scary, creepy, unsettling atmosphere all at the same time. It felt as if the characters were inside the belly of this living, breathing beast. And that quote I read at the beginning, they do sort of acknowledge that at a certain point in the book, where it feels like the house just breathes in and breathes out, like the house itself is exhaling and inhaling. And the yokai, the different sort of, I guess they're spirits, sort of demons in Japanese folklore and mythology. I really liked the inclusion of the mythology and folklore in the book. I don't really know much about ancient Japan or Japan really in general, so I liked all those aspects being in the book, learning about it. There were some terms and phrases here and there that I didn't know what they meant, so I had to look them up, because I'm a visual reader, so when I read, I'm picturing everything like a movie in my head. So if I didn't know what something was, I had to look it up so I could picture what that was in my head as well. And that's not a negative that I had to look things up. I enjoyed learning more about Japanese culture and folklore. I really dug that. But the yokai mixed with this house, it felt like they were a presence as well, and we're not sure if them moving around, like the paintings would sort of move and creep around on the walls, behind the characters. Was that in the characters' heads? Was that really happening or whatnot? I love the atmosphere and the setting of the book. It was different to get a haunted house setting that wasn't in some, old castle or some crumbling Victorian mansion or manor or whatnot. It was in Japan. That was different. That was unique. It was a breath of fresh air to still have something familiar, a haunted house, but setting something that I'm not really familiar with, something you don't read too much about as far as the setting wise, being in an old Japanese haunted mansion. I thought that was really cool. I think that was the main thing I was disappointed about, was I was wanting this really scary supernatural ghost story, and that's really not what we got here, especially with the cover. The cover is awesome. I wanted more of that ghost, that entity, whatever it is on the cover, to be in the book. We get like a glimpse or two of it, and that's it. And with the cool backstory of all these brides over the centuries being buried within the walls, having their spirits haunting and roaming the walls. I just wanted more of it. And really the only thing we got was the yokai, the sort of paintings on the wall, moving around, creeping behind the characters. It was almost like stop motion animation with them moving around. And other than that, we really didn't get anything that was like spooky or haunting or anything like that. And I was wanting more of that, and we just didn't get it. The author seemed to, again, just kind of scratch the surface with those elements of the book, but she didn't go full out. She didn't go full bore with that. Ultimately, Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw is a story more about the characters, their inner demons and relationships, and less about plot and these supernatural haunting scares. I really wanted more chilling moments from the bride with blackened teeth being the title of the book, and her picture is on the cover. But again, it felt like we were just sort of scratching the surface of what could have been a truly frightening haunted house experience. While the atmosphere was creepy, unsettling, and unnerving, and at times Cassandra Khaw's prose was lyrically beautiful, at the end of the day, I was just left feeling unsatisfied, and this story felt a bit disjointed for me, in my opinion. But that's it. That's been my review for Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw. Despite the aspects I really enjoyed, for the most part, it didn't cut it for me. I'm giving it 2 stars. But have you read Nothing But Blackened Teeth? Do you agree with my opinion? Do you completely disagree? Did you absolutely love this book? Let me know down in the comments. But that's all I have for you guys today. So thank you for spending your time with me. Again, my name is Brad, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.